Well, it's interesting because that to the point of this particular auction, that Art Shell jersey that is in the auction was a gift from basically Al Davis to your father on your behalf. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I still remember that. I can see his face. My dad picking it out of the hamper and said, "Hey, Al, can the kid have this?" And I was like, "Sure." You know, he didn't care about stuff like that. You know, nobody did. And he tossed it to me, and I kept it, and kind of took care of it ever since.
So, let's talk a little bit about these particular pieces. We've talked about the Shell jersey just now, but let's talk about that Harold Carmichael, in as much as that Harold Carmichael was in fact altered for your father for an NFL Today sketch, correct?
Right. Yeah. That was for a bit on the show, when they were. I think they were in Philly for a playoff game. Probably the year that Philly ended up being playing the Raiders in New Orleans, because I was at that Super Bowl as well, um, where where the Raiders beat the Eagles and Dick Vermeil's team. So yeah, I don't remember the sketch exactly, but that's where I think it came from in that respect.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about, because you and I were discussing this recently. The desk is one of the hardest things to part with, because that's the thing where that was his command center. The desk and chair are also part of the Platinum Night Sports Auction. How difficult was that decision to part with that, given the fact that that's where he wrote his column, that's where he was on the phone with all of these folks that you mentioned, and
Yep.
many more.
Yeah, that again, that could have disappeared when my mom was cleaning out the house, but I understood the importance of it, and I've took it and curated it or preserved it in that respect, because I saw, hey, this is where he was, became Jimmy the Greek to the nation, the odds maker to the nation, the Wizard of Oz. This is where he was writing his column and putting it out there, and going out to the nation. And I felt like that had a historical significance to it, that I saw, that I wanted to preserve it, much to my wife's chagrin in respect to how it took up so much space at times. So Steubenville, Ohio, wanted to start like a Jimmy the Greek museum type spot, and they wanted something like that. But I feel like it should be put out there for, who could appreciate it most.
Well, let's talk. I want to wrap it up by talking about probably the piece that I think is most fascinating in this whole auction, because it sort of ties it all together, right? So Leroy Neiman was very close friends with your father. This piece that he sketched on the menu when they were having lunch together, the kind words he says about your father, and the fact that he was also, I believe you told me, he was kind of one of the quiet defenders of your father at a time when he had very few during that whole when his firing.
Well, there were guys that really, still held a torch for him. And then Leroy, Leroy was so, he's just the most awesome sports artist ever. He was coming from a position of strength. He wasn't intimidated by any sort of politics or political correctness. He was just the man. I mean, he was just the preeminent artist in his area, and he was friends with my dad. And the last time I saw him was at the Paley Center 30 for 30. He came, and he loved my mom. I remember he had a great relationship with my mom, and he sketched her too. I have a sketch that he did on a menu as well, of my mom from that same period. So that I was keeping, because I didn't feel like it, would translate in the collector market like that.
Sure. Well, Anthony,
I really appreciate you taking the time with me and talking about some of this stuff, and why it could be important to other people, and find a home with collectors everywhere that appreciated who my dad was and what he meant to the business business and as a, you know, the predecessor of what gambling has become.
Well, man, I really appreciate it. It's good to talk to you and good to meet you. And we'll catch up somewhere down the road. Thanks very much.